Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Stephanie Stevens Show and Pronoun TV. Today on our show, and let me just say this first before we get started. Happy New Year, everybody, and hopefully you guys stay strong and stay blessed. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about a really touchy subject. One of my friends approached me about the idea of doing a show on colorism. Now, I wasn't quite sure of what he meant, but then once I Wikipedia and understood what the show was to be about, I decided let's just explore the idea of colorism. Let's talk about it. Let's have the conversation that's on a lot of people's minds and lips, and it's what's trending in our community right now. So today, I want to just say welcome, Mr. Chadwick Chung and
Welcome,
Mr.
Edward.
PKO Monroe. Now,
Hi.
how's everybody?
Hello.
We're good. We're
So,
pandemic in
so you are, where are you at right now, Travoy?
Toronto.
Okay, and you, Chadwick?
I'm in London, Ontario.
Okay, I'm going to start. Oh, he's in London, Ontario. So
Oh,
I'm going. I'm going to start off with the definition of colorism from Wikipedia, and then we're going to get into this discussion. Um, Wikipedia says discrimination of skin color, known as colorism or shadism, which usually means members of the same race are treated differently based on social implications, which comes with the cultural meaning which is attached to skin color. That's what Wikipedia says. Now, Chadwick, when you approached me about the idea of the show, I wasn't quite sure about all of this, even though I am of the age and I should understand this very clearly. Now, what is what is your definition of colorism, Chadwick? Since
Colorism,
you approached me about the idea, I'll let you go first.
okay, thank you. Well, colorism is a very, very broad topic. And when you usually hear about any form of colorism, the first thing that usually comes to someone's mind is a white person did something bad to you. And usually that's the source, that's where it started, but it's not always like that. So I would say in my 20 plus years of being in the LGBTQ community, the first 5, 10 years, it was like that. The last 5 to 10 years, there's none of that. There's hardly any of that. But I still deal with colorism. It's people, our skin color, people darker than me that throw the racial things on me. And I would look at them and think to myself, why are you doing his job? His parents or his ancestors raised him to be like that. That's our fight against that. You're helping him fight me. Why are you doing that? So I realized it's just as much in our Black community as it is in the white skin community. It's in every community. But when I saw it happening to me from other people of my color, I just thought, why you're helping prolong this? We don't want to get rid of colorism, which is the proper name is really racism. That's how I grew up hearing it. But I think the today's definition, colorism is more accurate because when you look at race, the lady that I pointed the video, her name is Jane Elliott with the 1970 show. She made it clear we're all the same, but yet we don't treat it like we're all the same. She does an interview with all these people in the auditorium. If you're a member of the white race, stand up. All the white people stood up. If you think you're the Black race, stand up. All the Black people stood up. Are you the Asian race? Everybody stand up. Are you the Latino race? Stand up. Okay, here's the punchline.
Wow,
Those
nice.
of you who are, can you consider yourself a member of the human race? Please sit down. They all sat down. So they admitted something. Something's going on. We're aware of it, but we don't want to do anything about it. That's why we're here today. And that's where my idea came from. Since you've got the platform in Toronto, I know if you speak about this, people will listen because when I speak, only someone that's been through it wants to hear it. Everybody else is deaf. Now,
Mhm.
is that everybody? No. There are people with white skin that stand up for me strong. So I know I'm in a different point in time today compared to when I first jumped into the LGBTQ community. It's not as bad as it was, but when I talk about the racial discrimination, it's only recognized by someone that's been through it. And what I mean by that is I would go to the store in my 20s with a white friend. The cashier is where it starts. Black and white walk into the same store. The black guy is cool because he's with the white guy. Where if I go into that store by myself, red flag, follow me around the store. Can I help you with anything? Not yet. I'm just looking around. Okay. And they follow me around, follow me around. All of a sudden, this white lady wants some assistance. Hey, customer service, can somebody please help me? No, they can't help you because you're too busy watching me. So there's the colorism. It's happening. I recognize it. Nobody else sees it. All they see is I can't get customer service.
Mhm. Well, Travoy, we as Black people, we have all experienced people following us around the store or thinking that we're going to steal something or that we don't belong in the space or where did we come from, all these kind of things. Now, what does colorism mean
Which
to
is
you,
which is
Travoy?
what discrimination is. That is
Mhm.
discrimination, but that is also racism because we're being followed specifically by white people because of the fact that we are black. Okay,
Mhm.
so
Oh, but
um,
one more thing. I just don't want to forget this.
feel free. Yes, go ahead.
2 days ago, I went to the store to go buy something. I am walking back.
Mhm,
As I'm walking back I have to cross over to this side of the road because I live on this side of that street. So I
mhm.
crossed over. A group of people were walking in the direction towards me.
White.
One, yep, all white. There was two girls and one guy. And they just looked right at me and immediately they just thought, oh, cross the road. And I thought, here we go. If I was a white dude walking there, they would have probably just walked right past me like this. They saw the color of my skin, and I was also wearing this. I had on the red, gold, and green scarf. So they knew I was a person of color. In other words, get away, go across the street now. What am I going to do to you? I'm just going home. They saw me as a threat.
Mhm.
Not, it's not just following me around the store. I would get on the elevator and the girl, white girl, whatever who's standing there, they see me walking, they clenched their purse and went to the far edge of the elevator and just looking down at the phone, need a way to avoid the fact that I'm there. And as soon as the door opens, she's running so fast, you swear to God, she has hemorrhoids.
You know, Chadwick, I want to just say this here before we let Travoy speak. We all know that silently white people tell their children, most of their children, negative things about blacks or their perceptions of what they think blacks do and are. Now, and this comes from the fact of the way you're schooled at home or you're told at home. And white people really, in a sense, don't have respect for black people because when they go out into the world every day, they see us in precarious situations of all sorts. So, and when they see this, regardless on a constant basis or not, they try to come up with a general idea that that's the way we all are because we're in the news that way, we're in the street that way, we're in the supermarket that way, wherever we are, we're in those precarious situations that they continuously see us in that they feel is a threat to them
Mhm.
in some way or another, either with the advancement of whatever it is, or just the mere fact of their feeling like their security is at risk, or the fact that you're Black and what are you doing here? So um, I understand sometimes the apprehension of people, but I do understand that we're trying to tackle the issue first of equality with race. We're trying to get in front of the equality thing, and the fact of letting people recognize us as human beings first, because this is what's getting in the way of us actually talking to us, because they don't recognize us as equals. They recognize us as a threat and as what are you doing here? So this is something that we have to talk about first. Now, Travoy, what does colorism mean to you? I mean,
Okay, wow. Okay, so a lot of things have happened. A lot of things have happened that I feel like we have to just sort of like take it a step back for a second so that we can sort of unpack and just get some clarification. So according to the Wikipedia explanation, essentially it's colorism is discrimination against skin color or race, right? Is that what it said?
okay.
Did it say skin color? Okay,
so discrimination of skin color known as colorism or shadism.
Perfect. Okay, so that's the first thing. So white people, hey folks, you cannot, like, your shadism, colorism doesn't exist because you're all one color. That's the first thing. So white people are exempt, finally, from something, and that's this. Shadism, colorism can only be experienced or can only happen between people of color because of the fact that we are all different shades of the colors. So as a Black person who's dark skinned, light skin privilege, as a person who's dark skinned, we don't have the privilege that light skinned folks have. So regardless of whether you are Caribbean or Asian or wherever you're, all of the non-whites, they are the ones who go through and experience shadism. Now, I guess the problem with shadism is that the closer you are to whiteness, or the lighter your skin, the more privilege you have, or the more access to privilege you have. Now, of course, this is going to vary in different places and spaces, because and racism is embedded into this as well. For example, like I said, the closer to whiteness you are, the more right you are, or the more accepted you are. There was a time when people were, not just Black people, but people who were not white, were light-skinned enough to pass, and that was the passing era.
Pass, that's the word, pass.
That happened. There was also people who the bleaching creams for your skin, so that you can, become lighter and speak. Yes, all of that is where shadism comes into play. It varies. Not even varies. It's different from racism, because now I'm going to say this, and we don't have to understand or agree, but like white people, like racism cannot be experienced by like nobody can be racist except for white people. Like, they own that because of how racism is structured in terms of the systems of power. Now, again, arguable, debatable, fine, but like, this is how I'm contextualizing it. So it's different from racism because white people see everyone who's not white as the other. With shadism, only we who have color can see we who have color. So that's where it varies. So your story, not to take away from it, but your story is embedded with both racism and colorism. Yes. For example, you being the Black guy who has white friends, you have access, or more access per se, to privilege. You're seen as the safe Black guy, not like the Black guys that they see on TV.
Yeah, that's it. That's right.
But at the end of the day, you are still the Black guy who is with the white people. So you are like, there will be some folks who will be okay with you being there, and then there'll be other folks who don't have Black friends or a Black friend, and then their guard is gonna be up about you, which again, that is racism, because they have no reason other than to not like you because of the fact that you are not white. Right. So that's the difference between shadism and racism in terms of the structure of people. Now, the thing is, so for me, when I was growing up, as you were talking about our 20 plus years on this earth, when I was growing up, my racism and my skin color wasn't even a thing until after I finished high school. up until then, the only thing that I was like that the reoccurring thing was my sexuality. So racism it was a whole new thing to me when I discovered, or like when I started to learn about it. The thing is, I've never, this is gonna sound so weird, but like I've actually never had like an interaction with police officers, for example, right? But well, I mean, I've been pulled over twice in my life, guys. I'm an awesome driver, but I've never had interactions with the police officers. I'm because like I don't want to say that, I guess this is the only way to say it. Like I'm considered one of the safe blacks because of the positions I sit on in the community, the jobs that I've held, my like so all those things have put me in a place where I'm a safe black per se. But even as a safe black, I'm still a black. Therefore, I don't take for granted, or nor do I not understand the plight of the people who are. I hate this term, people of color, but the black people. I'm a black person. I can only speak for us. The black people who are experiencing the police brutality. So for me, regardless of the fact that I've never had an issue with the police, or we've never had issues with each other, I'm not going to now be like, oh, you know, well, the police are nice and blah 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 blah. No, because that makes no sense, because I'm not susceptible to the violence, because at the end of the day, I am a black person, period. Right? And just again to touch back on the colorism, even though black people are being murdered by the police across the world, if you take note, it's not very many of the people that are being murdered that are light or skinned.
Yes, that's right. It's the dark,
right?
dark.
So the discrimination the discrimination is just terrible on itself. But I think it's safe to say that dark skins, and I am one of them, the darker your skin, like the less you get the shittier end of the stick. You're not deemed as necessarily attractive. You're pigeonholed into stereotype roles on TV. For example, we have dark-skinned women usually are the mammies or the Jezebels. So they're either the sexy characters or the mom taking care of people. And then the characters who have are usually lighter, not necessarily light skin, but lighter. So it's just a shitty position and a shitty place, especially because colorism is so embedded and insidiously embedded into our DNA because of the fact that as people of color, as a black person, as black people, the trauma that we have from, all that stuff, like it's embedded in us. So when we see essentially we as the field slaves see the house slaves, like it like the tension is understandable. Yeah.
Okay, now I want to ask this so we can at least have this out of the way. Now, Chadwick, how do you identify and where are you originally from?
Okay, when you say identify, are you talking
about? Everybody today, when you either say they're a man or a woman, I'm being so corrected all over the place all the time. Okay. So now I just ask everybody, how do you identify? This way I don't have to ask.
Okay, I identify as a mixed culture. I don't want to say mixed race because it's the human race. The human race consists of me being black skin, Chinese, gay man, originally from Kingston, Jamaica.
Okay, and you, Travoy?
I'm a black gay male, specifically a Jamaican gay male.
Okay. Now, the reason we have to get this out of the way, because it constantly comes up in my conversations. And if I say he or she, somebody's there to try to beat me up with trying to clarify what it is that I'm supposed to be referring to them as. Now,
mine isn't C. That's why I put my in my name.
Now, for the both of you, why should we be having this conversation? Why?
Let me answer that one. When I stepped into the gay community, I had already experienced a ton of racism that I didn't know. I thought this was the end of it. I'm finally out of school. I'm a grown up. I don't need to ask permission to go to the store. I can go walk where I'm free. I'm now 25 years old. My friend said, you need to come to the gay community. Come on. You need to see what you've been missing out on. You came out late. Most of us came out as teenagers. You're 25. And I went along with it. I walked in there and said, oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually doing what I was always told my whole life not to do. After, fast forward, let's say about 3 years, this one's trying to hook up with this one. I'm trying to do my thing. And what was I told? I'm sorry, but I don't do Black or Chinese. And I said, oh.
A white person said this?
Yeah. right to my face, right to my face.
Mm-hmm.
Let's fast forward like 3 more years, same bar. Oh my God, I'm Chadwick. What is it like for you to have to be the only Black guy in this bar? I said, why is that a concern to you? It seems like it's bothering you, but it didn't bother me. Well, don't you just wish that we had more Black people here that you could date? I said, wait a minute. When did I say to you, I prefer to date Black men? Even though I would date anybody of any color, it's not what the color is, it's who you are. You could be attractive and a real jackass, I'm not gonna come near you. But what you're saying, I need to have more Black people here. Why is that important to you and not important to me? And
why is it not important to you?
It opened up a whole lot of things. He said, you know what? I've known you for a few years. I think you're a really nice guy, but honestly, Chadwick, I could never date you because if my parents knew that I dated a Black guy, they would kill me. And I said, thank you, Jesus. This is why I needed to come out. Look at all the racism in the gay community I'm missing out on. What a nice privilege to be chastised for my skin color when it was already happening on the streets outside of the gay community. So now I had a different perspective of LGBTYT when I was 28, 29 years old. So then this lady from the same scene, straight lady, asked me to be a model in a fashion show. And the racism had already eaten away at me to the point where I thought, this woman must be drunk. Does she realize she's asking a Black man to model with?
Okay, good. I was about to ask if she's white. Okay, yep.
Does she realize she's asking a Black guy to model with her white models? Does she think I'm white? She knew I was a person of color. And I still couldn't figure out why she wanted me in her show. Finally, she asked me enough time to convince me to join the show, only to realize her white daughter and another daughter is Black, and they were always together. Oh, I get it. You're one of those white people that have no problem with skin color. That's why you see me as beautiful, where these people you think I'm trash. And we're all in the same bar. So I realized my thinking got fricked up. I'm starting to think, Chadwick, just come here to dance, but you don't look for a boyfriend because you know what? You're ugly as shit. No one's gonna want a Black man. And people made it clear. They made it clear. But it wasn't until when I was still using my flip phone and people saying, get yourself a smartphone. You can go on these apps and go on Grindr. I said, what the hell is Grindr? You guys keep talking about it. I get my first smartphone and I searched for it. I didn't know how to spell it. I went on the computer. I went to grindr.com and it said, no, this is for a phone. I'm like, my friend helped me get it. And they said, this is what Grindr is. I said, okay, create a profile. I said, well, I don't know what it is. So I finally go on there, create this profile. All I have to do is put on a picture. All these people 5 feet away, 6 inches away.
Yes.
I asked who knows. And what happens? They don't have a picture in the profile. Looking for this, you must have a house, you must have this, you must make this much money. And I'm not into Blacks, not into Chinese. I said, oh, so in Grindr, you also don't matter. So that's when I decided, screw Grindr. I've never met anybody on there and I don't want to based on what I saw. Okay. So the only difference now is in person, people you would say to me, oh, Chadwick, so great to see you, hugs. And then after the bar is done, you go on Grindr, you look at them, the same person that was so huggy, not into Blacks. Then why was it so nice to see me at the bar, but you don't have nothing to do with me on my phone? Oh, I know. I can say whatever I want. I keep forgetting there's a person on the other side of this that has feelings.
But wait, not to interject, or I'm sorry, just to interject. It's safe to say that sexual attraction does not determine or does not sexual attraction is different from not sexual attraction. So you can be attracted to someone sexually or have a preference, which we're definitely going to talk about in a second. You can have a preference, but that is because you want to sleep, you prefer to sleep with a particular type of person, but you can be friends with anyone, right?
Right.
Like,
But it's the way it's the way they spoke to me on the app compared to how they spoke to me in the bar. The reason why they spoke to me harsh on the app is because I had no picture. My profile is brand new. But I'm thinking, I've seen you at the bar for years. I've only been on Grindr for 10 minutes. Oh, this is the Grindr personality you have. But in the bar, you turn on that sweet pretty boy thing where everybody in the whole world loves me. But on Grindr, oh, this guy blocked me, delete me, block me, delete me. Well, but that kind of language, shit, I block and delete you too. So I got attacked racially over Grindr. So eventually, one time I had a picture on her.
You were racially attacked by off Grindr as well, just for clarification.
On Grindr, by people I knew and people I didn't know because I'm new. So when I had my picture up there, some of my friends said, Chad, you're on Grindr? I never thought you'd be on this thing. I thought, well, I'm just checking it out. I don't know what it is. Then I found out it was an online bathhouse. So I thought, okay, now that I know that people want to go and sleep around, okay, I know that's not what I want to do. But now that I know what it is, I'm gonna take this picture off. I don't want to do this anymore. Sure enough, within days, other people captured my picture, created a profile with my picture, and all of a sudden, somebody told me, go check out this person on Grindr. I go on Grindr, go through all this. Oh, wait a minute, I'm on there 5, 6 different times. How is that possible? They're pretending to be me, so now they can say whatever they want. If they get in trouble for it, my face can be blamed. And that's why I stopped using it, because people are using my picture to say what they want to other people.
I'll say at.
Well, Chadwick, when you think about these apps with the way we socialize with different groups of people and the stereotype of what white people or even some of our own people think of us as light skinned or dark skinned. And this probably, for white people, I think a lot of this would come from slavery days with Scarlett O'Hara, or the fact that black people back in the days, in slavery days, used to have a lot of children. So that meant that they were usually virile or and they would see all the black men working in the field with all the muscles and all these kind of things. So white people have sort of had this in their mind, that sex thing. So this probably has a lot to do with colorism as well. Now, I just wanted to interject that bit. I enjoyed your story about Grindr and the apps, because I understand that, and I see it all over the place of, I don't do blacks, I don't do Chinese. We see that all the time. I don't do femmes and all these kinds of things. Now, I'm going to say this in all fairness. It's okay for us all to have a preference. But we need to understand when we're typing these preferences in the world for others to see. Now,
wait, just so you have to finish it. When we're typing these preferences for the world to see, we have to know that they're rooted in probably, most likely, something that is problematic, whether it be racism, whether it be colorism, whether it be ableism. Our preferences are 9 times out of 10 rooted in problematic things. And that's why preferences is problematic in itself. Like, you don't want fats or femmes, fine, but that's okay, because that's your preference. But when you start making the fats and femmes feel like they're unattractive just because you don't like them, that becomes problematic. Because why don't you like fat and femmes? What have fat and femmes done to you for you to not prefer them as well? If you're just here for sex, then what is the problem? Right?
That's a good way to put it, because
it's that part.
Because when I first got on Grindr, I already had my problems with discrimination from when I was a child. So now I just thought, I'm in the gay community. Goodbye racism, goodbye colorism, it's all gone. You guys have pounded the pavement with homophobia. You guys will never be racist towards me. Wrong.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. Sorry, Mom. Do you want to go? Were you saying?
No, go ahead, go ahead.
So I have a couple questions.
I'm enjoying this. Go ahead.
And I feel like I'm for the record, I'm not psychoanalyzing you. I am just asking questions for
No,
clarification.
no, I'm enjoying it. Go ahead.
Okay, so you grew up where?
Orlando.
Florida?
Well, I graduated in Orlando. Once I
Okay.
graduated, I went straight to Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, and then you came here?
I came here after being in Fort Lauderdale 4 years. I went for my internship for nursing, and then I came here.
Okay, and then Chadwick, you grew up where?
I started off in Kingston, Jamaica.
Mhm.
Politics almost pretty much killed the whole neighborhood. So that's the reason why my parents brought us to Canada.
Canada.
While I was living there, everybody saw me as, look at the Chinese boy, Miss Chin. And as soon as I came here and I went to school, I'm not Chinese anymore.
Wait, hold on, we're gonna get there. Hold on,
There's
wait.
a black guy now.
You came here and then you grew up like in Toronto or
I was in Toronto, but I don't even know what the name of the area was. But
okay, that's cool. And you were surrounded by both of you because in Florida.
My family stayed with uncles because we're looking at getting a place. So we're fairly new here. And just from the time I got here and they said Happy Halloween, I said, what the hell is that? We didn't have that in Jamaica.
Oh my God.
So when we got here, we were in Toronto to Mississauga to Burlington to London. And that was
wow. Okay, so you moved outward. Okay, got it. Perfect. I love this. Even better because I was gonna do that, but this is good. So it seems like you've just been surrounded by a lot of white people for a majority of your life.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm still trying to figure out why you have white friends, but that's another story.
You've
been surrounded by white people.
Hold on, let me back it up. Let me back up a bit here. I have a couple of black friends, but it's based on I live in a predominantly white area. In order for me to have another black friend,
there have to be more black people.
I have to go through another 25 white people to get that one black friend.
Perfect.
When I went to Toronto, I go to Toronto, and as soon as I got off the Greyhound, I went there for a clinical trial. Every corner I walked past, yeah man, it's like Jamaica. Since when the bus come to Jamaica? I felt like I was in Montego Bay or Kingston, anywhere in Jamaica, because I heard Jamaican people in Toronto.
Okay, that's a lot. I'm like, we're here, but it's not that deep. Okay. So the thing is, your experience is actually pretty screwed up. So thank you for sharing because it's like, wow. But all of this, like, it's almost like you've conflated two things. So you thought that because you were out and proud now, or you could be out and proud, which is one thing, which has nothing to do with our race, our skin, nothing, as that's our sexual identities. You then came and thought that it was okay in a space where we was also predominantly white, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like now they have reason, because even though we're all gay, we're not all white, right? And they know this. For example, Church Street, I will be the first person to say it. I will always say it. I stopped going to Church Street, like stopped going to the Village, probably early in my gay life. I think after we finished drag, after my drag era ended, I won my pageants. I just left Church Street because I didn't even realize it until afterwards. But like the racism was so intense that it almost I almost forgot that I was better than them. And I mean that in terms of talent, not in terms of like race or anything like that. So like it's so insidious that you don't even know that it's happening. Everyone who enters the Village or the Village itself is consumed by whiteness, right?
Yep.
And I mean that in every aspect of the way. I'm not even going to mince words. In every aspect of the way. So when you go there, you have to do one of two things. You either have to assimilate or you be the other. And it's fine being the other if you have the energy and time, because you feel that, oh, well, you have that one friend there that makes it fun, or whatever the case is, or I love drag queens, so let me go and see that. that's fine, you know, do you? But for me, I don't. First of all, I don't be like I've learned to just, or not even learned. I'm not going to be in any space where the majority of people around me are not Black. That's the first thing. As much violence, as much trauma, as much issues as Black people have, there's a safety that we also have with amongst each other that I will never feel with white people. It's like it's just no shade. I just won't, and I can't, right? So it's sad, but like you weren't you didn't get that. Like you didn't even get the opportunity to assimilate because it's almost like you were sexualized. Of course you were because you're a Black man, duh. But you were sexualized before you were even like friendshipized, so to speak, right? So it's like whiteness now, that it causes this divide. So now let's say you have a Black friend like myself, right? Now let's say the two of us, hypothetically speaking, end up at Church Street. So the first thing that would have happened is like, yeah, we would have been the other, like we would have been othered, but I wouldn't have been othered the way you were othered because I would have left, right? But you would have stayed because you're used to that type of environment. So it would affect you differently to leave or not come back because you don't know of any other space, like you don't know of any other life, right? Whereas myself now, I grew up around now, like in like middle school and high school and things like that. I was like that. We were diverse. I went to, even though I lived in a predominantly Black neighborhood or with Black people, like it was people of color. So I had Asian friends and brown friends and all these friends. Didn't have any white friends, but like we were all together. And like I said, it wasn't until after high school where like I started to realize, holy shit, I'm the only Black person in the room. And this is through my job. For example, I was working at one of my jobs. They called me Tyrone for the entire time, even though our emails have our signature at the end. Our name is in our emails, and every time we went to this meeting, they'd call me Tyrone.
Well, can I just say this? I lived in it, like you said. I want to talk this colorism thing here. I'm getting this sense. I'm understanding the two of you now and where you stand in this, and you're explaining it really well. And what I like is also the personal experiences in between that you're throwing in, which is very good. Now, I come from a Christian neighborhood with the majority of Blacks. But of course, we had the speckle of whites because the area wasn't a ghetto. It was a Christian neighborhood. So these are middle-class people that worked every day, or people with a couple of dollars in their pocket that had a strong sense and value of church and family. Now, when you think about the colorism on your part, Chadwick, I understand that a lot, like I tried to explain from back in the slavery days, of the way white people have sort of thought about us more. We're either sexualized or we're criminals. And for them, there's no in between.
And they're the same, and they're one and the same too. Don't forget that. Like
Okay.
they're one and the same, literally.
There's one thing I haven't pointed out yet though. Let's just say when I was like mid to late 30s, I'm still out in the gay scene. I'm out there dancing. Somebody finds me attractive and blah, blah, blah. Okay, we've both been drinking. Let's go back to school and so place. And okay, I'm going along with it. When I said I'm done, but because of this grinder stuff, when I hop in bed, I'm like, okay, well, I'm drunk, you're drunk. Okay, so our thing.
Is this a Black person?
No, white.
I know. I just had to hear you say it. Go ahead.
No. If a Black person was interested in me like how these white dudes were, then it would be a different story. But let's just say he's the closest to being Black based on his rhythm on the dance floor, but he's a white guy. He hears all these stories that Black guys have a penis that's like from here all the way to Memphis, Tennessee. So because I got Black skin, I'm supposed to be hung like a donkey. Now that's just what the.
He didn't even ask if you were a top or a bottom. He just assumed that you have a big dick. Isn't that just rude?
That is rude.
Guess what? If you got our skin, you better not have less than 16 feet, otherwise you're fired. So anyway, it's first of all, not much could be happening because we're both drunk as hell. But the thing is, I went back to his place because he lived closest to the bar. The next day, typical gay man, get out. Okay, goodbye, I'm gone, whatever. 2 weeks later, hi guys, nice to see you. This is my boyfriend. I'm like, I slept with you, you had a boyfriend? Oh, we've been dating for the last 4 days. I'm like, what? How come you hooked up with me and then you got a boyfriend now? And it turns out, he says, I'm sorry, I forget what happened that other night. Just don't tell anybody. And what, I need to be ashamed that you and I hooked up? No, it's the other way around. I need to be ashamed that I took a black guy home. But this is what my parents
said that?
This is what my parents want. That's what he didn't say it to me. That's what I got from his tone.
Oh,
I don't have a problem sleeping with a black man, but my parents can't know about it. The fact that you came over, only I know. So don't tell anybody. But now that I have a boyfriend, I can bring this person home to my parents. They won't kill me for that. If I brought you home, they'd disown me. They already hate the fact that I'm gay. They finally came around. Now they're talking about dating a black guy. You want me to get disowned again? That's what I got from it.
You're so intelligent. You received exactly what he wanted to receive. I'm trying to figure out, like, now I hope by the end of this that you're gonna, like, there's a rainbow at the end. But okay. I think what's actually more problematic is that your experiences aren't, like, you have a lot more of the like colorism isn't the thing for you because you don't have black friends, so you don't probably experience much of the colorism issue because you don't have other people of color around you, because
actually white people. Lately I have colorism because now I have another Jamaican friend, which I can't even say his name here. He's so paranoid he can't even refer to the pride guy as the pride guy. He calls it
because he's black and Jamaican. He's gonna get killed, obviously, in his brain. Like, while he's sleeping, they're gonna find him and kill him, obviously.
And then not only that, are you going out this weekend to that place? And I said, what place? You know where we go, that place. Oh, the gay bar. Okay, yeah. So he doesn't want to say the word gay. He's too ashamed to say it. And another thing is, I started performing just as a male performer. I'm the only one that's never in drag. I'm performing Jamaican music at karaoke and everything. Mm-hmm. And the same Jamaican, I'm thinking like, okay, we're both from Kingston. And we know that dancehall is Jamaican. I get up there and I did my lady spice, the elephant man. And as soon as I got off the stage, all these white friends of mine, yay, that was amazing, that was amazing. My Jamaican friend says, Chadwick, why would you do something like that? Dancehall is for ugly ghetto black people. You're too cute and brown skin to be perfect. I'm thinking like, wait a second, I'm having fun.
Wait.
I'm allowed to have this kind of fun because it was designed for the low lives of Jamaica.
That right there. I was gonna bring it up in a second. So here's the thing: colorism itself is like a direct derivative of respectability politics. Now, what respectability politics are or is basically act a certain way, be a certain way, even if it's not like who you are. It's more than just like a time and a place. This is what's proper because this is accepted in society. Now, the thing with that is it literally was created, like it became a thing when the South and the North split, and they had, like, when America did their slaves are not slaves, or whatever the case is, freedom, and the Northern slaves who were with the white folks came down to the Southern, to the South, and started to teach the black people how to be proper according to white people standards.
Right? Oh, not what they mean when they say act white.
So yes, so that's all based on respectability politics. Now, again, going back to colorism, like that is, again, the darker you are, you're expected to be ghetto, you're expected to be all these things, as opposed to being light skinned, or as Jamaicans call them, brown-ins, you also are expected to be pretty and not necessarily have like you're not from the ghetto. Essentially.
Becoming out of gold teeth.
Now, I want to say this here because I just want to throw this in is because this is what I see, and even sometimes I lean towards it. And it's not necessarily that I'm trying to look white. I just happen to like the way that it looks on others. Now, when, wigs have played a huge part in changing the way Black women see themselves. And this, the colorism part for me is the fact that most of the wigs are manufactured in China and styled, designed, and colored by Chinese people who really themselves want to be white.
Correct. Who do they themselves do not like Black people.
Yeah. So now, but yet they've studied us enough to understand that there's a market that they have understood that Black people bleach their skin. And to them, that means that they want to be white or lighter or desired. Now, this is something I find troubling because even though I see a huge push for the African culture of the hairdos and the beads, nobody leans towards that, not even the celebrities. Everybody wants that straight, long, luxurious hair, the beautiful light skin. They want that
great nose.
Yeah, they want those things that white people that they think white people have, or that they think is desirable to let's just say men, because I think women do a lot of what they do in life to impress a man, and the majority of most Black men, I think, like Black women.
Okay,
but,
good.
But are scared because they think maybe sometimes the attitude is too strong or whatever the social aspect of it is. And they don't want to actually earn the respect of the Black woman. They want to just do them the way they can sometimes do white women, because white women just look at them as they can fuck, or they're virile because they're muscular and they're strong. And that's what most women want. Somebody that's strong and that can take care of the children, and that kind of image. Now, for me, I find that is a problem. And we haven't seen anything African, even from the celebrities in the last 10, 15 years. No matter how they try to put a little bit in their videos, you still see them leaning more towards being white.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Little Kim.
Okay. All right. So now, yes, we can use there are a plethora of examples. I think for a long period of time, because the times are definitely changing and things are shifting. Again, a lot of things were said, so let's try to unpack them slowly. The African culture essentially is not for consumption. It's culture, so it's not supposed to be like all over the. It's for the African people. And by African people, I mean Black people, right? That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing, as Black people, period, all of what is popular culture today and before comes from us. It was stolen. Whether it be the clothing, whether it be the stuff, like we are the at the forefront of these things, even though we don't get credit for it. Hence appropriation. Hence appropriation, right? So that's the first thing. So yay for us, because it's not like white people are sitting down in their houses and they're such geniuses that they think of all these amazing things and create all these amazing things. Lest we forget, America wasn't built by them. Okay, that's lest we forget. So there's that part. When it comes to the standard of what beauty is, yes, the standard is usually a white person. Usually, because for a long period of time, white people only saw white people. Mm-hmm. So all they can do is like they only have their selves as a reflection. I don't know, like Halle Berry. Remember, Halle Berry?
Yeah.
Remember when she was named, or when People magazine made her named her the most beautiful girl in the world, whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. Like, and it became like this big deal. Because even though Halle Berry is not necessarily I guess dark skin per se, she definitely is on the lighter side of things, but she's not light skinned. The fact of the matter is she's a Black woman. period.
Mhm.
And she identifies as a Black woman as well, which makes it even better. Yay, right?
Mhm.
Like, so the standard of beauty, uh, actually, the standard of, like, any standard period, is probably based on whiteness, because white people are in control of everything. They're in control of the media. They're in control of the magazines. Like, they're the ones who are doing this stuff, right?
Mhm.
Beyonce was on the cover of Vogue, and Beyonce literally was one of the first Black people to be on the cover of Vogue magazine, and it's been in publication for 134 years. Right? So, like, things are changing slowly but surely. So we have to, give credit where credit is due. But
Mhm.
now we are starting to understand and see that whiteness in general is not the standard, or needs to be a standard, or even needs to be considered, because we are fly the way we are as Black people, right? Now, when you are working in the industry, which is still controlled by white people, there are things that you have to do to fit in or make life easier for yourself. So as a Black woman, regardless of whether you want to or not, having a wig with straight hair for those days or for that job makes perfect sense, because you don't want to, you have to think about, one, the job itself, two, safety. Like, you don't want to be harassed at work. Like, like, there's so many factors that come into play that we have to consider before we think that we're just doing it because we want to be white, right? Like, it, it again, racism in itself forces us to have to do this. For example, I know that I might look good with blonde hair, and everybody might think I want blonde hair because I want to be closer to white, whatever the case is. But white people don't own blonde, right? Like, it's not theirs. So regardless of whether it grows out of their root or not, like, they don't own blonde. And there are Black people who have naturally blonde hair as well. So it's not like that, like, it's okay. It's not a thing. White people braiding their hair, white people dreading their hair. Why? Right? Never mind how it looks. We're not discussing that, because you said to keep it clean. We're not discussing how it looks. But the purpose of us having to dread our hair, for example, like not dread, the folks who locked their hair, it was in retaliation, because people were telling them to cut their hair. So instead of cutting it, what they did was they locked it, and because they didn't want to have to deal with that, but then they found a problem with that, right? So it's like, everything we do, or every time we try to be ourselves, they find a reason to demonize it or criminalize it, right? So we have no choice. In order to survive, sometimes we have to do these things, like straighten our hair and things of that nature. And even though they might find products to make it better or safer, at the end of the day, it's not for everyone. I know, for example, and I do it intentionally now. Like, when I go to spaces or places, especially because I host, Chadwick, you don't know, but for those who don't know, I'm an entertainer, I'm a recording artist, I host events, so all that stuff. Like, it's important to me to show up looking as Black as possible. Now, that just means putting on my clothes, getting dressed, and leaving the house. But when I walk into the room, probably I'm the only Black guy there, or the one of the few that's there, but I'm the guy who's in charge, right? So, or because I'm on the mic. So they're expecting me to be a certain way and act a certain way, but they're also going to be amazed at the fact that I can do both, because I'm not one person. I understand that I understand that this is work, and work requires this. But y'all, well, in case you don't know, the second I'm not working, if there's no check involved, I'm a whole nigger. A whole nigger. Like, I don't care about respectability politics. I don't care about your feelings. Like, I'm not concerned with you, especially you as a white person, which is
the paychecks. The paycheck is what determines how you're going to behave.
right. Like, again, but that does not mean I'm working for the money. Folks, I have money. I don't need to work. Relax. But I understand my job and what professionalism is. Mind you, professionalism is also respectability politics, which is also based in whiteness, which is also problematic. But I know who the brand is. I know who my brand is, right? So I understand that they're not the same, but not everyone does, right? And I think we have to give acknowledgement to that, because again, it's not like all Black people wake up every day and think, oh my God, I want to be white, or think, oh my God, I want to straighten my hair, because we don't actually wake up and think those things, right? So it like, we have to give credit, or sorry, we have to acknowledge that piece, because it's not like we actually don't care about white people like that, right? But we are in a system. We are in a world where a system surrounds us that is white, and that is problematic in itself. Then we have to deal with other Black people.
Well, you know, I have to say this is that it's I mean, this is the way I see it. In just a sense, I'm just a little scenario here. It's great that we have athletes that white people look up to. It's great that we have these strong athletes that are visibly dark skinned, visibly strong, masculine, and nothing white or fake about them that young white people seem to be attracted to.
Aren't they all married to white women?
Hmm?
Aren't they all married to white women?
I'm coming to that. Now, now, it just goes to show you that a lot of these kids back in the days, they wouldn't hang a Michael Jordan poster on their door because he is dark skinned. They would hang somebody's poster up there like the green guy or the lighter skinned ones. Even Kobe might make it on the wall. But people
as well. Respect him.
Only reason Michael Jordan made it on the wall is because of Nike and Jordan shoes. That's the only reason. And the fact that they did like him, but I'm sure the poster stayed under the bed for a long time until he became the acceptable Black to be on the wall in mainly a white Christian household or just a white Southern household. These are things you don't see on the back of people's walls. It reminds me so much of how segregated and how socialized we are with the fact of trying to stay safe within our own community and our own minds. Because for you to walk into some young boy's room, and of course he likes Janet Jackson and Beyonce and all these people, he's got them all over the wall, he's got Michael Jordan. For his parents to walk into the room and see that would be something totally different than the way he sees it.
That's a good example. Mind you, not mind you. That sort of echoes, or sorry, that's parallel to Chadwick's experience, like the idea of safe Black and things of that nature. But celebrities in general, let me say celebrities in general, never mind the fact that they're problematic, but celebrities in general, like there are good examples and bad examples, right? Because for example, let's say Beyonce, a safe Black, who for a long period of time, like she didn't mention or care to talk about Blackness, right? And then now everything she does is about Blackness, right? Now there's and just like I was saying before, like, you know, in entertainment, in general, like it's one of those places. It's the business of kissing ass before you can kick ass, right? So you have to play the role, play the game until you get to where you need to be, and then bam, you can do whatever you want to do. And like that's essentially hopefully everyone's goal in general, but not everyone is that thinks that way, right? So here we have Beyonce, who for a long period of time, again, we see her as a Black woman, but she, again, it wasn't a thing. She's always had blonde hair, like it's her brand. And now the white people are going crazy because Beyonce says cuss words, she uses the word nigga, she raps, she's not the same Beyonce that she was before to them, right? But she's always been a Black woman to us, so it's nothing, right? Whitney Houston, when she first came out, she was at the Soul Train Awards and they booed her when if I don't remember this, because she was like vocally she was not singing the way the Black people thought she should be singing, and the Black people did not like her at first because of the fact that she wasn't ghetto looking. Essentially, she wasn't one of those girls, even though we all know Whitney Houston is
ghetto.
Okay, like she is the ghetto, right? Like
ghetto. She's from New Jersey. Can't get any more ghetto than that.
I mean Detroit, but you get the point. But like that idea, like that is like partially what like drove her to her situations, because it's like she's expected to be this not ghetto person, when all she wants to be, because that's who she is this ghetto person, right? And again, colorism affected Whitney in the same way, because they didn't care for Whitney in the way that they cared for other artists, like what's the other one? Either way, like the lighter, like it affects us all, because again, as Black people, we all, there's this idea, the mentality that only one of us can make it, right? So, and usually that one of us that makes it is usually a light-skinned person.
Okay. Now I want to wrap this up a little bit. So because you guys have been amazing. Actually, I really enjoyed this, and you made it very clear for me, both of you. And we've seen it from all spectrums. So we don't want to just keep saying the same thing over and over. I think we've made you both have made valid points. And I want to just end with just two more questions. Where do we go from here? What do you think we need to be doing?
Well, this is really simple to explain now. If you asked me that at the beginning of this show, I wouldn't know the answer. Now that this show is going on and people are going to get a chance to see this, I think people should take our stories and pave the way, because I can present myself one way. I can't tell you how you see me. You have to tell me how you see me.
Do they have to tell you?
I can wear a shirt and tie.
Do they have to tell you?
Put on a shirt and tie and put on Calvin Klein and fix up my hair pretty like a little.
And you're still a nigger.
Boy. And guess what? All you see is this black guy. Well, guess what? That's
what you are.
That's all you see. That's all you see.
But that's what you are, isn't it? No.
Well, I see now. This is why I use my name to my advantage. Is when the gay community has karaoke, everybody that knows me, they say, Chadwick is this way when he's not on the stage. When we call him up, he turns into Mr. Chin. To Jamaicans, Mr. Chin is the Chinese guy.
Chinese guy.
To the gay community, it's the badass. So basically, I am a Gemini. Chadwick is one personality, Mr. Chin is the other one. So when you call me Mr. Chin, I'm just thinking like, if you're a Jamaican, you're calling me the Chinese guy, but if you're a gay guy, you're referring to me as a badass. I got to pay attention to who's calling me what, so I know what to do. So I be my own Whitney Houston on stage and be as hardcore badass Jamaican as I am. But other Jamaican people look at me and go, I thought he was a nice guy. The white people go, he is a nice guy. That's an act.
Oh my God, white people.
I thought that was the real deal. So I leave it up to them. You treat me the way how you see me. I can present myself any way I want. I cannot control the way your eyes see me. You have to tell me how you view me based on my morals, my presentation, how respectful I am. Don't expect me to go out and to be wanted by police because of the skin color. I didn't choose this. It was assigned to me. I did not steal my color from anybody. I didn't order it on Amazon. It was designed specifically for me at birth. As a gay man, I didn't know I was gay until I was in my teens. I've been this color longer than I've been gay. Why is it I'm accepted as gay, but Black, you're still gonna fight on your own?
Well, you know, Travoy, you as a young person, and very out there in the clubs, and we understand drinking, drugs.
Folks, I work in the clubs. I work in the clubs. I'm not out in the clubs for fun. Just
okay. Well, I mean,
he works in clubs. I'm in the clubs for fun. I like it.
Right. And
it's a lifestyle.
From your perspective, what should we be doing?
Okay. Wow. Okay. So, colorism. I think to address that, or in order to get past that, we actually have to address that. I think that even though we joke about like light skin privilege all the time, or we joke about light skin syndrome, regardless of whether it's real or not, the privilege that comes along with being lighter skinned is definitely real. And even if you don't experience it the way other people experience it, but there's definitely a divide. So I think it's important that as Black people, the other people of color can figure out their stuff. As Black people, we won't progress, or I don't think that it's possible for us to progress until we one, address that issue and deal with it. And I don't necessarily know how or what that might look like, but I know that it will require a lot of letting go, a lot of unlearning, and a lot of abolishing of the thoughts that we have that are embedded into us because of our parents and their parents and their parents before that, right? So for me, for example, a good example is I'm mixed, so I have good hair, and they call me, like Jamaicans call me Coolie. And yeah, when I was growing up, it was like in retrospect, I never really processed it the way that it was like taken. So I didn't really care about the fact that I had nice hair. It wasn't like, oh, I was running around talking about, oh, my hair is nice. But as I've gotten older and I understand that this is a form of privilege that other people don't have, and like they're like literally beaten and tortured for it just because of this, right? So for me, I understand that my hair, regardless of whether like how you receive it or not, it's just hair. My hair is hair, your hair is hair, all hair is good hair because it's just hair, right? Like, but like we have to do the work to unlearn these things, because like I said, the privilege that I could get, which I still utilize, of course, like I'm dark skinned, I'm cute, I get it, I have nice hair, but like that isn't how I wake up and move through the world, right? Like that's not important to me. But that's because I took the time to unlearn those things, because I don't want to be divided, or I don't want a divide between me and another Black person, right? Right. So it's like as Black people, like we have to do the work to unlearn the as I was saying, preferences are usually rooted in problematic things. Yeah, we have to take the time to unlearn those problematic things. That's the first thing in terms of colorism. Second thing, which also literally means detaching from whiteness, period. But second thing, I think that having these conversations are important, but having them in the most safest space and safest way possible, because we oftentimes take things personally, which is understandable, but it isn't just you. Like, it's affecting all of us differently, but it's affecting all of us nonetheless, right? So it's important to make room, like that safe space that I was talking about. It's important that that safe space is very spacious so that everyone can say their piece and have enough room to breathe and listen and learn, possibly. But don't listen to answer, listen to understand, right?
Okay. Here's my last question. Sorry, I have to ask this because I don't know how to answer this. When somebody's nice to you, but you know that they're coming from a place of hatred, but they're trying to get out of that hatred zone, I don't know how to answer this. When I look at you, I don't see you as Black.
You know, first of all, people are never trying to get out of something that they don't want to get out of. You have to understand that if they wanted to get out of it, you wouldn't even be having that conversation. Now, you have to understand is you need to understand your friend or the person that you're communicating with that wants to come out of this hatred thing or whatever. Listen, people are either they don't like you or they like you. It's simple. It's nothing in between. There's no common ground with people you don't know. There's just uncertainty. So the way you have to look at this is that you don't try to make an excuse for someone who's a monster. You let that monster come
monster. Let that monster die. Like, what the hell? Like...
No, but wait a minute. You got people,
there you go.
You
said it, Troy. You said it.
You got the people that are trying, and you're saying, you know,
what does trying look like? Tell me what trying looks like.
Trying to, when I look at you, I don't see you as Black, because you and I are already cool. But let you and I get into an argument, I bet you're gonna see my color, even if I'm the lightest Black guy in the world.
But see, that's the thing. That's what Mom's just said. Like, they either like you or they don't like you. Like, if only when they're mad do they realize that you're Black, that is problematic, because you are Black all the time.
They know that.
They know, and this is the thing, like, that's why there's no such thing as a safe Black, and that's what I was talking about with the police. Like, even though I've never had an experience where it was like a bad experience with police officers, only Black people seem to be dying by these police officers. I am Black, so I cannot move through the world thinking, oh my God, the police are going to save me. No, because I'm Black. So I'm not Black all the time. So the idea that your white friends, let's call them friends, are don't see color is problematic, because we are of like they literally call us people of color. So like
you know what? They have not really caused a problem with me. It's when I hear certain things from them, I'm like, wait a second. Are we actually friends, or you're saying we're friends because you and I get along? I have to have an argument with you to be so that you can say, "Oh, I wasn't racist until you said that." That's how
I was just going to say, just because you don't say racist things doesn't mean you're not racist.
That's true.
That's exactly.
But
Okay.
as to what Mom is saying, or as to what I know, as to what you're defending, I think just because you're white doesn't mean you're racist is where you're going with it. But I think that I do not believe that all white people are racist, because what is racism, right? But I do know that all white people benefit from racism, from the structure that is racism, right? So, and they're two separate things. So, so yes, you might feel comfortable to have a white friend or many white friends, but that's a choice you're choosing to make for yourself, and I love that for you. But I don't. There's no safety. Like, no, it's not happening.
Okay, gentlemen. Now I want to end with this. You know, Chadwick, I'm glad that we had this conversation from London, Ontario, and Travoy. We had this conversation from Scarborough, Ontario, and here
I'm in North York. I'm in North York.
Oh, you're in North York, Ontario, and here I am downtown Toronto. Now, the fact that I actually got a really good, clear understanding of what colorism means, and a lot of your experiences, which some reminded me of lots of experiences that I've had. And like I said, I've never had an interaction with the police my entire 60 years of being on this planet. But that doesn't mean that they weren't driving by looking at me all strange, and just because I was Black, and not necessarily, even though growing up in a middle class to wealthy neighborhood, a lot of the times I look like other Black men that are just going about their business every day. But under that profiling method that they have, you are, whether you live in a rich neighborhood or a poor neighborhood, they still look at you the same.
Who's a nigga?
Yeah. So now, with all of that being said, gentlemen, I want to say Happy New Year to you guys. I know you're going to do amazing things in the new year, Travoy, because you're always on the microphone, and I love that ball scene stuff. And you're always trying to do something to help other Blacks, and just the fact of just people in the community, whether or not they come into the space and feel safe or not, you still welcome them, even though we understand your stance. And Chadwick, your issues of childhood and what this thing has traumatized you, in some sense, hopefully with us talking here today, sort of mainly with Travoy, he's a young person with a big perspective on how the world is as
I'm a sociologist.
Oh, and I hope that we have made it a little easier for you, to show you that even though you live in London, Ontario, and there's not a lot of Black people, we still are somewhat similar on the same page, whether we're light skinned, dark skinned. We have experienced a lot of what we have discussed here today, just as whatever shade of skin we are, in a sense, except for being just white, which we know they used to say white is right.
Is right.
There you go. So, gentlemen, I want to say Happy New Year.
And just remember too, before we end off here, you know, maybe we got 2 people here from Jamaica, you're from Orlando, but you know what? To start the year off, number 1 resolution, kill the virus, let us get back to our normal lives. And also, more importantly, People need to stop referring to us as immigrants because it has a negative tone. We're not immigrants. We're
Different
imports.
conversation.
Things that anyone or anything imported are worth a lot of money. We're imports. That's why we're worth so much.
Semantics.
Okay. Now, and Travoy, you want to end with something?
Trust in the flesh, guys.
Oh, okay. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Do something, stay fabulous. And I want to just say thank y'all so much for a great conversation today on colorism. You've explained a lot. And to my audience out there, thank you guys so much for supporting the Stephanie Stevens Show and Pronoun TV. We're working very hard to make the reality of all of this happen for all of us.
Oh,
And
if
for
you have
those of
questions,
you-
feel free to hit me up on social media.
Okay, and how do we get a hold of you?
TKO, no, don't hit me up on Facebook. I'm joking. TKO Monroe, TKO Monroe on Facebook, 1-800-Travoy on Instagram, and 1888 Travoy on Twitter.
Okay, and what about you, Chadwick?
You can find me on Facebook under Chadwick Chung. Another way to get a hold of me, grab me by the back and say, come here, boy.
And on that note, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Stephanie Stevens Show and Pronoun TV. You guys have a blessed and safe new year. Over and out, everybody. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Whew. Mom, stop recording.
Okay,
Woo.
hold on.
Yeah, I'm holding on. I'm smiling. See that? Still smiling.
It didn't stop.
Muted my mic though.
Okay,
That's what I'm doing.
hold on. There we go.